Okay, I guess we are live.
Oh my god.
So we'll
We're
see how
YouTube
this
famous.
goes.
Huh?
I'm not. This is our first shot at doing it. Last time, for whatever reason, I did not see the broadcast button.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay.
I after the whole thing, after I hang up the call, I'm like, okay, how do I load this thing or what happened? It didn't exist because I never hit the broadcast button.
Oh, okay, okay. So we're just chatting.
So you finally get the chance to see the movie.
Yes.
I name this broadcast as Two Guys at the Movie.
Oh, sweet. I like that.
Yeah, so it's gonna be episode 1, uh, and I guess we can talk about Days of Future Past.
Yes.
Now that you have seen the movie, you have saw my review.
Yes.
I guess we can, if I let you run with it because since you saw it fresh yesterday compared to me. I have seen it twice now.
Oh, really? Nice.
So I like it enough that I've seen it twice. And
So nice you had to see it twice.
yeah, it's one of those few occasions where I couldn't wait for my wife to be free to go
Oh,
see the movie, so I snuck out and see it first by myself.
okay. You better not let her see this.
And so so when she got home, uh, I saw it came out Thursday night, and I saw it Friday afternoon.
Oh, really?
So when she get home from work, she's just like, "You saw it? What?" And so we went to see it again Saturday.
Okay.
So when I did the review, that was actually the second time I saw the movie.
Oh,
So um, so it's I think that's the first time I saw a movie twice in the
really?
theater.
Oh, at the theater. Okay.
Yeah, the first time I saw it twice in the movie theater in years, years.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that, honestly.
Yeah, I can't recall doing that in a long. I mean, I love Man of Steel,
Right.
but I only see that once in a theater. Um, so I wouldn't say that I like this more than Man of Steel. It's really hard to compare movies. I mean, whenever it's easy for me to compare. Okay, is this the best X-Men movie?
I think so.
Yes, it's easier for me to say that than to sit here and say this is the best comic book movies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's hard.
That's really hard, because when you're comparing something like this to something like like Batman,
Yeah.
The Dark Knight, where you're talking about something, it's just a different. I would say it's more serious. It's just a different tone.
Absolutely. Oh, I mean, it's different on so many levels, a plethora of levels.
Yeah, so it's that's why I really never like to compare movie at that level where people say Avenger is my favorite movie.
Yeah. I will admit though that if I did have to pick one, that one is woo. That's teetering because it's got like the best of all worlds, you know.
Yeah, like I said, it's really good, right? I enjoyed the Avengers movie, but I can't say it's the best of all comic book heroes
Yeah.
movies. I mean, I have to say that um, it's really hard. Like I said, I felt Iron Man 1 was one that surprised me the most.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, man. When I went into that, I was kind of like, man, I don't know how this is gonna be. And when I, dude, like 10 minutes into it, I was just like, oh, so
Yeah, I had to say, out of all of the superhero movie from Batman, Superman, Iron Man, Thor, Iron Man 1 surprised me the most because Iron Man 150 was my very first comic books.
oh, really?
So
Wow.
I, so I spent my hard-earned paperboy money buying an Iron Man 150. So I can tell you, I know Iron Man as well as I can be. You know, and I collect Iron Man for years and years and years, and I would say that he was at the best a B level character.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
You know, so when they make the movie, I'm just like, oh, it's gonna be cookie. You know, I mean, it's gonna. I'm not sure how it's gonna translate to the big screen. But then, you know, by the time I left the movie theater, I was like, gosh, that's like about as great as it can be.
Yeah,
Uh, so I have to say that, that movie wowed me more than just about all superhero movies, including the Avengers, because it just surprised me from start to finish.
sure,
Uh,
sure.
you know,
We'll have to discuss
yeah,
crap.
we will talk about Iron Man another time if you want, because you know, one of the things that surprised me more than anything, as far as fanboys and Iron Man, is I think more hardcore comic fanboys enjoy Iron Man than many other superhero movies.
Really?
I think so. You know, I think the at least the vibe that I got from many of my friends was that one got many fanboys fairly happy.
Yeah, that's rare too.
Yeah, and that's one where I would save my beef with the fanboys with that movie for the video for that movie. But for now, back to the X-Men, right? So Days of Future Past. Did you have you ever read the story
I
before
didn't.
the movie?
The only medium I had seen it in was the animated series. Actually, did a Days of Future Past Part 1 and 2, which just like the movie rendition was very similar but very different.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I did
So
eventually read it, for the
yeah.
record.
So you've seen all three.
Yes.
Okay, and based on your email, you agree more with me that the movie version is the better version of all three.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Hands,
and
hands down. I mean, I even made a short little video just kind of BSing, but yeah, I mean, I really could not imagine if this movie was 100% revolved around Kitty Pryde. You
no,
know,
yeah,
it's just, it wouldn't hold its own weight for a motion picture, in my opinion.
yeah, and you know the biggest complaint, of course, with all hardcore purists is that it's straight away from the comic books. And once again, you know, as I have always, you know, it's funny because you know whenever I discuss comic movies with purists or fanboys, I tend to come across almost like an apologist.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, I'm not, okay? I'm not defending the studios. But if you are going to complain about the storyline, as I mentioned in my emails to you briefly, I'm just like, how do you explain them stick to the storyline from the comic books and not ruin the previous 3 or 4 movies?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, even just in the scheme of what would be better visually, you know? I mean, like, screw it. We'll say there were no other X-Men movies. This was the first one they did. Even
Yeah,
still, you know, I mean, it's like it just makes sense. What's better to see, Wolverine going in the past, or sorry, spoiler alert, or you know, Kitty Pryde? I mean,
yeah. You know, Wolverine is the star of the X-Men. You know, yeah, so it's no doubt that they would alter the story to make Wolverine the star.
yeah,
You know, I mean, it's you know, but that, as you said, toss away the previous 4 movies aside, and say, okay, let's don't care, let's not care about the continue to the timeline and all the other cast and story. Let's just make a standalone movies.
yeah,
Hands down, you know, I just I read, like I said, I have read that story many times,
yeah.
and
Before
I read it again today.
oh, really? Nice.
You know, after I read your email, I'm like, you know, I have a few minutes to kill. You know, it doesn't take more than 10 minutes to flip through those pages. And for the life of me, I you know, my feeling about the original story still stay the same. That it was at best blah. You know, it didn't wow me 30 years ago, and it didn't wow me today. You know,
I
I
think
mean,
conceptually it works better than the actual story. Hence the reason why there's been multiple renditions of the same story.
yeah, you know, and okay, so uh, since other people have seen my comments as far as for the movie, what was the best part? What was the not so good part? And what was the give me your take of what you thought was the best part or the worst part or the not so good part.
Okay, I can say there was one part that stuck in my mind that I didn't care for, and it's really not a big gripe at all. Um, when when Magneto attempts to kill Mystique, and she barely escapes, and then he sends the bullet out the window, and it hits her in the leg.
Yeah,
I didn't like that he went out the window and then made this huge spectacle of like killing her. It just seemed really out of character, unnecessary. I was just kind of like, couldn't he just stand from up there and do it and like not have any attention drawn to him? I don't know. It just kind of felt silly, but so that's the only real gripe I had.
yeah. Um, I think that scene didn't bother me. If there was a scene, because like I said, I seen the movie twice. If there was a scene that bothered me, would be the airplane almost crashing. I like the scene. I like the dialogues and the acting in the scene where Charles and Magneto argue, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't like the fact that the plane was
Oh,
you know what I mean? So in a sense, when that plane was crumbling and it's gonna crash, I'm like, to me, it's kind of makes kind of silly. Where it's like, okay, he's angry, he's heated, his power is somehow making the plane almost break apart, and then when he cooled down, the plane just pop back into the normal shape.
right.
It's to me, it's just like, no, that's not. It's
It's not really
they,
how it works.
they could have skipped all that. You know what I mean?
I
To me, they could have skipped. Sure, they can make things fly around in the plane. I thought the line that Wolverine said, like, "I'm gonna clean that up."
Yeah, that
That was cool. I like that. That was neat. But to me, they could have skipped the whole plane crumbling, almost crashing. Just
yeah.
have things flying around in the cabin. That's fine with me. Okay, it's just went a little bit out of my realm of understanding with that thing. So for me, that is a scene that kind of make me going,
As far as what I liked about the movie the most, that's much harder to pinpoint. And I can say this though, and I think it's fairly obvious what I'll say. Probably the end, not the end, but the major action when everything was kind of coming to a head. I mean, it was just so well done, so perfect on so many levels that I could go on and on,
in the future.
Oh no, in the past when he had dropped the dome down, he's got the president hostage, and it was just the energy, and it was so intense,
Oh yeah, that entire near the end when Charles did that little speech
Yes.
and he was laying there with the all the stuff on top of him, that was extremely great. I mean, it's the emotional impact of how he acted in that scene was just fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought, like I said, I mentioned in my review that James McAvoy was just awesome. I mean, I like James for many other movies. And I liked him in the X-Men First Class.
Yeah, me too.
But this movie, he surpassed my expectation. I'm just like, I walked out of the movie, and there's no doubt in my mind that I will rave about his performance more than anybody else, because he carried the weight of that movie, because he was an emotional anchor
Yes.
of that movie. Logan, was cool. Wolverine, for once, was not the berserker jackass. He was more of like the calmer self, I mean? Like he was trying to control the situation and so I like what they did with Wolverine. I like how, you know, instead of using what they had been doing with Wolverine for the previous four X-Men movies, here you have a Wolverine that was more trying to be like a peacemaker. You
Yeah,
know,
almost as if he understood how important this was, that
yeah,
he had to keep it cool the entire time.
yeah. That's why I mentioned in my review that it was well done and so believable because you can feel the weight of hopelessness. Like even Wolverine was almost like out of his character to like almost like begging, like you have to do this. The world is on your shoulder. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
This you need to get out of your funk.
seriously. Oh,
Because we need you so badly. As far as a character in the movie, is there anybody in this movie that you didn't care to see?
I did not care to see.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, I wouldn't say that you didn't care to see. Did you have a problem with any of the characters? That's a
Okay.
better question because I have a problem. I will tell you which one I think I have a little problem with.
Okay. Hmm.
And it's nitpicking. Okay, it's I can say it's a good movie. So even the problem that I have with one of the character is really very tiny.
Okay. Man, I don't know. If I, uh, I don't think I can. I don't think anything really stood out too bad to me, where I was just like, what,
Hmm. Yeah, see that's to me whenever you have a good movie, it's really hard to pick it apart. Like
Okay.
what's wrong, what's right. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm trying my best to not to be the apologist to nitpick something.
Definitely.
um, the only character that I have a small problem with, not because it was bad acting or to me Bishop.
Oh,
If,
or maybe a lack of.
if you look at all the other character, okay, like even like Sunspot, uh, you kind of understand their powers. Okay, we know what Bishop can do,
Right. Okay.
reader, but as a non-comic readers, he was one that you would be like, what's his power? What is it? He gets a gun. He's absorbing source from other people. That's why to me it's just like I think I felt that was the only poorly done mutant. If I had to pick one where it's the weakest link on the screen, because when you look at all the other mutant as far as power, right,
Yeah.
it's very apparent what they can do.
Yes.
But when it comes to Bishop, it's just like, what is his power?
Yeah, which is weird that they almost even included them, which of course they needed to for the sake of Days of Future Past, but it was like, why? Yeah, I absolutely could not agree more with that. You nailed it.
Yeah, because when I watched the movie from the very beginning, even when before I saw the movie and I saw the clip that they show them running through the building and uh, fighting the Sentinel.
Yeah.
From that scene, I was okay with everything. I was not a big fan of Bishop, but once I saw the movie and enjoyed the movie, I didn't have a big problem with Bishop. But if I had to pick out the weakest link of the movie, I would say it's Bishop, because when you look at Blink and all the rest of the other cast, it was easy to figure out what their power was.
Yeah, definitely. They full on demonstrated.
Yeah, and then when it comes down to Bishop, it's just like you know he looked cool. The cool factor is there. So yeah, I mean, yes, he looked cool, but what the heck is the power? And he didn't have that many lines, so I'm kind of just like, you
Yeah,
know,
definitely. I feel the same way about as I emailed you. I didn't even realize Psylocke in X-Men 3. I was like, wait, she was there? I mean, she didn't really read anything, didn't have any lines to speak of. I was like, wow, you would include Psylocke, but not do anything with it.
Yeah, it's no, but like I said, it's now that you saw the movie and enjoyed it, I'm glad. Like I said, I would love to hear someone that don't like the movie that I can sit down and have a chat like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the sad thing is everyone that give me the movie sucked hasn't seen the movie. Like the purists that say the movie sucked, right?
Yeah.
Most of the people that I have heard that from have not even seen the movie.
What are you talking about? Oh my God, that's
So I'm just like, how can I have a discussion with people that want to debate about the good or bad of this movie if you already have a mindset that it sucked because it's not the book?
yeah. Oh my God.
So I'm just like, so that's my wish is, if anybody out there that didn't like this movie and want to have a Google chat with me and talk about it, I love to talk about it. And like I said, I'm pretty open-minded about why people don't like certain things. So it's not like if someone hate this movie, they are out of their mind. Like I said.
I would question their sanity.
Like I said, I would love to hear it. You know what I mean? Like I said, I went through a lot of debates with people, say, with like Man of Steel.
Okay.
And some of the complaint is legit, and some of the complaint is just nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
okay.
And for example, one of the biggest complaint I'm sure you heard about Man of Steel is the vast amount of destruction. Like some people said, there's like so much building was blowing up and thousands of people was dying and all this stuff, and it was just overdone, right? That was one of the common complaint about the last battle with Superman and Zod.
Every time somebody complained about that movie to me, it was exactly like you're saying though before. It just vague, like no legitimate reason. They're just like, yeah, I didn't like it. It sucked. It's like, why? Okay, so I didn't know that. I've never heard a legitimate complaint about it. And to me, that's not even a legitimate complaint. It's like, what do you mean there's too much?
And yeah, like for Man of Steel, right? One of the other complaints I heard was the non-linear storytelling.
Okay.
Right? And some of the same people that complained to me that they did like Man of Steel because they didn't like the jumping around of the past and the flashback.
Yeah.
I'm like, hello, you like Dark Knight? There are also non-linear storytelling with Batman, his origin.
Yeah, big time.
So please, this is why I always have a big problem debating with a lot of my close friends. It's just like it's selective reasoning. It's just like they can love the Dark Knight and have no complaint of non-linear storytelling. And then when they go to Man of Steel, oh, it was so confusing. Oh, he was a boy, he was a grown man, he was this, and I'm just like, really? Did your brain regress in the past 10 years because now it's too much to understand?
Seriously. No, that's crazy.
So sure, there are people that complain that they don't like the non-linear storytelling even in Dark Knight. See, I have no problem with that.
That's what I was gonna say. We need to discuss those. We'll discuss the Batmans at some point too.
Yeah, we can definitely talk any movies. You know me. I love movies. So up to this point, I had been discussing with just myself. But going forward, if we can coordinate, reviews of the movies, certainly. It'd be more fun because trust me, I don't have to talk myself either.
No doubt.
As far as the ending scenes
of Days of Future Past,
yeah, I am gonna be. I understand the scenes, right? Because I read enough about Apocalypse and I understand about the young Apocalypse. and the Four Horsemen. I am gonna be very curious on how or what storyline they are going to use. You
Sure.
know, I have no idea. You know, they call it age apocalypse, right? That's what Bryan Singer hinted as far as the future movies.
Yeah.
But as we know in Days of Future Past, it can be just the title.
Yeah. Really.
You know, so it's not necessarily using age of apocalypse, the storyline in the comic books. So, warning to all fanboys: do not go crazy. That it will not be the same.
Oh, they will. You would think they would have gotten used to it by now.
You know, it's always the same outrage. You know, it's kind of it's comical. You know, I mean, it's comical because it's too bad in many ways. You know, I have a lot of close friends that can't get over the hump of the studio messing around with the source material, and so you know, I learned to accept that they were never gonna enjoy these movies.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm not trying to convince them. You know, I'm just. They ask me. I say I love the movie. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. You always got to leave it at that.
You know, I try not to. You know, once in a while we will get into a debate, and I tend to come across as an apologist. So I decided, you know, for a specific group of people that I know, friends that I know will hate the movie no matter what, just let it be. You know, just let it be.
You
You know,
mentioned the Sentinels.
oh, the Sentinels, yes.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the looks of the Sentinel?
Well, when if I'm not mistaken, now correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the ones that we first seen in the opening sequences were Nimrod and not Sentinels. And that's what I was hoping for the entire time. I'm like, man, if I don't see some massive purple robots, you know, I'm gonna freak out. And it seemed to be what they did. They went ahead and made those the Nimrod things that are exactly what they are. And I was relieved to see. I agreed with what you said that I wish they were bigger, you know. But
Yeah.
I was like, okay, they didn't, you know, do the uniform, or they did the uniform and not the classic costume. So kind of the same effect. They generally made it the same, but skewed it to make it a little more modern and stuff like that. So I didn't have too much of a problem with it.
Yeah, you know, because you know, even the Sentinel in the 70s, the one that looked kind of like plastic,
Yeah.
we understand now in the movie why they make them that way because, you know, they don't want to have any metal in them.
Right.
Because they already know that Magneto existed, right?
Yes.
They already imprisoned the guy that control metal way underground. And the last thing they want to do is create some kind of Sentinel that have metal in them. So yeah, they look like plastic parts, and sure, they look kind of clunky compared to, you know, the more rounded shape metal look Sentinel that we are accustomed to in the comic books.
Yes.
But as I watched the movie, it makes sense, and I accepted it.
Yes. Exactly. You have to. You know. I mean, you're gonna let that eat you up? No. You know, it's like.
Exactly. But that's my my common preaching to a lot of my friends that um, don't like these kind of changes. I'm just like, I don't like them either. Okay, as I mentioned in my videos, it's hard for me, who had been familiar with the Sentinel look for 30 plus years, to accept this new look. It's not easy, but I approach it with the open mind, you know. And at the end of the day, it didn't bother me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not. But that's the thing, you know. But that's what I am. You know, I learned that the only way that I can approach watching these movies is to have a separation between the comic books and the movies.
You have to. I mean, honestly, I was just so excited to see Sentinels, period. Because I was hoping that we'd see them since X-Men 1, you know, and
Mhm.
so I was just absolutely excited.
Now, as far as future X-Men movies,
Yes.
we already know the Age Apocalypse
Hmm.
is next. I can say that now that we have the timeline restore,
Yeah, even
and
Ultimate.
X-Men 3 is no longer in the mix. I would love to see the studio after the next X-Men movie to embark on. I don't say a trilogy, but a two movies kind of storyline of the Dark Phoenix saga.
Ooh, yeah.
But to me, that is perhaps the greatest X-Men story that need to be told correctly.
Sure.
By correctly, I does not mean a literal translation of the comic books.
Well, in the third one, it was kind of rushed a little, you know, which I understand why, but it was rushed.
It was rushed, and it just can't be done in a one movie. I do not believe that you can do the Dark Phoenix saga in a 2 hour movies
I don't think so.
because you need the evolution of the character that rise to power.
Yeah, yeah. Just like
But
a whole Jean Grey Phoenix.
there's a whole arc of the character, right? So what I'm hoping the studio would do is the first movie to show how Jean Grey acquired the power slowly,
Yeah.
see the arc of her power grow into the end of the movie, and the end of the movie would be her turning into Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then in the second movie,
Yes.
beginning of the darkness as she consume something. Doesn't have to be another world, okay?
Yeah,
But
whatever.
whatever, right? But and then that movie is the beginning of the Dark Phoenix and the story arc into the ultimate death of her. Okay, to me that would be a great two movies kind of deal,
That'd
where
be amazing.
you build it up the Phoenix and then you take it down the second movie.
Yeah.
But that's to me that would be like the the next set of movies for the X-Men if they decide to go that route. And I think they are. Okay, I think because the Dark Phoenix saga. I'm sure you have read it, or maybe you haven't. I don't know.
No, no, you gotta remember I'm 26, so I
Yeah,
mean, it's hard to.
I if there is any one X-Men story that I highly recommend that you go and read and find and read them is the Dark Phoenix saga. It basically it spanned like 8 issues.
Wow, really?
It's I think if you
Love it. You know.
well, if you talk to like hardcore X-Men fan, I can guarantee you all of them would say the same thing that that is the greatest X-Men story ever.
No joke. When this video is done, the first thing I'm gonna do is go on. Not trying to plug it in, but I'm not. It's just so I don't plug it in. You know what website I'm gonna go to, and I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, I highly recommend you read that, and then after that, we can talk if you think that that should be made into a two movie deal because um, it's one of those things where I started collecting comic books when I was in 1981, okay, and I don't think comic books was still made for kids really,
Yeah.
but when you have a chance to read the Dark Phoenix saga, it is a grown-up story.
Nice.
It came out, like I said, it ended in issue 137.
Okay.
So 5 issue before Days of Future Past came out. So it like I said, it's a very grown-up story of love, loyalty, friendship, sacrifice. It has everything about that. Like I said, I can't spoil it for you since you haven't read it, but if you read it, you will probably have a greater understanding of why the fanboy even me, who is very open-minded, are horrified at X-Men 3
Okay.
because they took perhaps one of the greatest story of them all and completely, yeah. You know, I mean, uh, the death of Phoenix,
hmm
X-Men 3, is absolutely has nothing to do with anything in the comic books. I mean, the whole X-Men 3. I mean, Days of Future Past took some of the concept, right?
Right.
But the Dark Phoenix, the death of Phoenix in X-Men 3 has absolutely nothing.
Wow. So it just completely missed the mark.
They missed the mark completely, and that bugs me more. Out of all of the superhero movies that mess around with the source material,
hmm
that was one where I'm just like, why? You know, there are ways to make the storyline so great, and yet you completely trash it. So one of the few movies where I had to side with the fanboys that is just so bad that I have a hard time separate the books from the movies. That's one movie that I couldn't do it. I'm just like, what the heck did they do? You know, it made no sense to me. But other than that, definitely go check it out.
I've been trying to get this out of you now. I've been trying to get this out of you.
Yeah,
Because I've already told you who my favorite X-Man is.
yeah, Gambit. Yeah. Now Gambit, I'd be the first to. I said this in other videos that I didn't like him. You know, I mean, from an X-Men purist, okay, well, X-Men Bronx purist. This is a generation thing, where you have to understand when Gambit, alongside with Jubilee,
Yeah.
and many, even like Psylocke, okay.
Okay.
Heck, if Psylocke wasn't hot, I'd be honest to say, if Psylocke wasn't so hot looking by Jim Lee, the way he drawn her, I would hate her too.
Right, right.
But there is something, this is why, whenever I talk to like the generation thing with comic fan, it's just like if you are like a teenagers like me who collected the X-Men and love the original team. By original team, you're talking about, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Colossus, Storm,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see like this introduction of like Jubilee and Gambit and Psylocke, and like I said, it come down to inability for the old readers in me back then in my 20s. This is, so you're talking like I am in my 20s, and I feel that my childhood is being ruined by my team being pulled apart and other things putting in. Okay.
I understand that.
So it's a generation bias. Same thing with Deadpool. Okay. I can tell you, I can see the 10 or 12-year-old loving Deadpool right away.
Right.
Okay, because he's cool looking and he's different.
It's funny. That's probably my biggest thing, but
for me, as I was in my 20s, by the time Deadpool came out, I'm just like, I'm so done with it. That's why it's hard to find 40-something collectors that say Deadpool rocks.
No way. It would look weird even.
And it's not a knock on the character, his power, or his personality, or whatsoever. I can be frank and admit that my dislike of those characters is just a collector bias, because there are certain things about nostalgia and being the wanting things to be the same when I was 15.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I mean, you nailed it too when you said it was a generational gap, because Gambit didn't even first appear until I think 1990.
Yeah.
I was born in '88, so there you go.
Yeah, so think about this. By the time Gambit came out in 1990, I had been, like I said, I started collecting in 1981. So I'm 23 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm, here I am, 23, 24. and the old X-Men team that I love is gone. You know what I mean? And so something is acting up. Can you still see me?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It looked like my screen was going crazy there for a second.
Oh, it looked fine on.
I just look at the clock. Look like we've been running for about 42 minutes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we can end it here. So hopefully it will works. Okay.
Okay.
All I can say is after this is over, I will play around to see if I can broadcast this video and see how I can see a whole lot of thumbs down now.
Oh, they're gonna come raining in. You're like,
Anyhow,
what the hell is this kid?
how can they love the X-Men? Ah! Anyhow, thanks for the call.
Yes, sir.
And we'll do it again for sure. We just have to agree on what the next topic will be.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we do this on a weekly basis.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. Anyhow, thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Later.